Okay, so good morning, everyone. Coming to PI prep, task number nine for your PI prep. So in today's task or in this session, we'll be talking about how to handle generic non-current awareness questions. Now, your generic non-current awareness questions are basically questions which are, first of all, they're generic. They're not related to you on a personal level. Like they're not asking you about your strengths or weaknesses or maybe say your career profile or why you took a certain decision or your long term goals, short term goals. Why do you want to go for an MBA? So these are like these this category of questions which I just listed would be which they basically talk about your own orientations or your own core values, your strengths, your weaknesses, etc. Right? Your aims and objectives. The generic questions usually don't have any personal aspects associated with it. Okay. These will mainly be on lines of, for example, what is the difference between a leader and a manager, right? Or let's say, who do you believe is more important, a team player or an expert? Or what do you think is more important? What is more important according to you, planning or execution? There are no direct personal aspects related with these questions. Sometimes, yeah, there can be, like, for example, if they ask you, if the second question is framed in this manner, that are you a team player or do you prefer to go solo, right? So it's not exactly the same question. It's kind of a first level variant of this question, and it also has a personal element to this. So these questions obviously you'll also have to include something from your strengths or weaknesses as well into this question. But that's a topic that we'll cater to slightly later, or maybe in a different episode. For now, I just want to talk about the questions which are generic. That means they don't have any personal element. At the same time, they are also not related to current awareness, right? So you have your questions that have these personal elements associated, and then you have questions which are related to the happenings and the current scenario in the society and in the markets, right? इन दोनों के बीच में जो कुछ सवाल आते हैं जो ना ही आपके पर्सनल एलिमेंट्स की तरफ जा रहे हैं, ना ही आपके करंट अवेयरनेस वाले फैक्चुअल डोमेन में जा रहे हैं. These questions are your generic non-CA questions. Okay, and whenever the interviewing panel uh, asks you a question on these lines, okay, by they ask you to compare some things, two comparatives, like for example, a leader and a manager, or let's say a team player or an expert. There are a few things that you need to be careful about when you're trying to answer these questions. Okay, and first of all, before anything else, know that in most of the cases, the answers won't be a single choice. The answer won't be a direct single choice. Okay, there are certainly there will be exceptions. I'll talk about them. So first of all, what they're trying to test in these cases is basically how perspicacious you are, how well you're able to look beyond the surface level of the problem, right? So, for example, in case of a team, let's say it's the second question. Let's talk about the second question. A team player and an expert. There might be certain situations where having a team player, being a team player, might be more productive to the cause at hand, and there might be other situations where being an expert or having an expert will be more productive and more conducive to achieve the objective that one has set for oneself or for an organization, right? So this is what we did. So what we did here was we did not simply go for an answer which said, okay, no, expert is always better, or maybe a team player is always better, or maybe a leader is always better, or a manager is always better. We actually went one level deep, right? We demonstrated some perspicacity, right? So that's one of the primary elements which are being tested in this case, that how well you are able to go beyond the surface level and address queries like this, right? So what is key here is depends. Depends is basically the word that takes you to the next level of detailing. Okay, now whether it's a leader, what's the better choice, a leader or a manager? Well, it depends on what? Depends on some underlying factors, which in some cases might be more suited to the first choice, or in other cases might be more suited to the second choice. So as I said, they're trying to check if you're able to look deeper into the problem, essentially how perspicacious you are. And obviously articulation to आपका हमेशा check हो ही रहा है, test हो ही रहा है throughout the interview. And see, if you the fact that you are able to look into the question beyond a certain level, along with perspicacity, of course, also demonstrates how mature you are on a professional level. Okay, okay, and then do you have a growth mindset? तो ठीक है, growth mindset आपका generally दूसरे questions में आता है, but in this case we're talking about maturity. Okay, TP, by the way, here is thought process. So apart from articulation, what is and perspicacity, what is also being tested is how mature you are, how well you are able to go beyond, how well you are able to think of scenarios which might help differentiate the utility of these two choices available. Okay, ठीक है. Now, how do you go on and practice this? ये आप Google form तो आप fill करके इसको articulate करेंगे ही, but apart from that, how can you go on and actually practice this? Like practice this skill and develop the skill of being able to look beyond the surface level. कैसे करेंगे? I've tried to set up a very simple framework to help you with this. आप फ्रेमवर्क के बिना भी इसको ट्राई कर सकते हो, बट जहां पे ज्यादा कठिनाइयां आ रही हैं, जहां पे वेर आर फेसिंग मोर डिफिकल्टीज, ओके, व्हेन इट सीम्स टू बी मोर चैलेंजिंग, इन दोस केसेस, फॉर दोस, इन सच सिनेरियोज, वहां के लिए मैंने ये आपके ये फ्रेमवर्क बना के रखा हुआ है. ठीक है. ओके, नाउ व्हाट इज द फ्रेमवर्क? लेट्स से यू हैव टू चॉइसेस, ए एंड बी. लेट्स से एक्स एंड वाई आपके दो चॉइसेस हैं. चॉइस लाइक व्हाट इज बेटर, एक्स और वाई? ओके, अब आपको याद होगा वी हैड दिस क्वेश्चन, व्हाट वुड यू चूज, money or fame? In the second session of at the very start of the whole course, हमने discuss किया था, and then all of you went around and gave your answers. You basically chose one of these two choices, and you had some, in many cases we had some good reasons to substantiate the choice. However, as you later learned कि नहीं, हम लोग को इसमें एक level आगे देखना था, है ना? तो same चीज यहाँ पे. Whenever you have, let's say, two choices, X and Y, the first thing is you'll try to think of the suitable environments for each of these choices one by one. ये जब आंसर करने के दौरान ये करना है वो मैं नहीं बता रहा, मैं आपको ये स्किल डेवलप करने के प्रोसेस के बारे में बता रहा हूँ. This framework is not for you to not how you answer the question when the question is asked in the interview. This framework is for developing the skill to answer these kind of questions. Okay, so मतलब like net practice की बात हो रही है यहाँ पे, मैच खेलने की बात नहीं हो रही. ठीक है. So coming back, choose between X and Y. The first step is note what are the suitable, what will be a suitable environment that for X but not so much for Y, and what will be a suitable environment for Y and not so much for X. So differentiating suitable environments आपको note करने हैं respective choices के लिए. So note the respective suitable environments of both the choices. Okay, let's say that in case of X, the characteristics of that suitable environment would be A, B, C. Okay, and in case of Y, the characteristics of the suitable environments will be P, Q, R. Okay, and then तो ये आपने note किया, उसके साथ में also note, sorry man, yeah, so also note the key differences, like ये suitable environments के साथ साथ में what are the key differences that you can distill out basis these suitable environments. So let me give an example. For instance, let's say we are talking about the team player and expert wala choice. Okay, so in case of a team player, a suitable environment would sound something like where the objective does not really involve any kind of innovation or any kind of subject matter expertise. Okay, or like you're not really looking at something novel there. You already have, you basically have an objective which is nothing but a combination of a certain set of activities or tasks that need to be completed, which have been done umpteen number of times before. It's just about coordinating and completing them on time. Okay, यहाँ पे कुछ नया कुछ लाने का कुछ जरूरत नहीं है यहाँ पे. So this is how you I've defined that a suitable environment for the team player, a suitable environment for an expert. Excuse me, I seem to कुछ तो यहाँ पे allergic है. Anyhow, sorry. So in case of a team player, sorry, in case of an expert, a suitable environment will not be one where a suitable environment will be one where the organization or the team is headed into uncharted territories, like थोड़ा सा knowledge generation या फिर थोड़ा innovation और वो सब चीजें involved है. In these cases, if you have too many experts working on the same problem from different angles, unless they are well coordinated, it might happen to be a case of, you know, too many cooks spoil the broth, right? You have to pick away and you have to accordingly go for that, right? So यहाँ पे आपको ये suitability environments आपने list किए now, and then accordingly you can say so hence in case the environment requires tasks where there is where the territory that the team is functioning is quite charted, is already quite well set up, and it's just about completing the set of tasks with good coordination on time. In that cases, we would rather want a team player, because a team player would be someone who will be able to coordinate better. Now, ये आपके key differences आ गए. तो यहाँ पे team player में coordination ज़्यादा matter करता है, और वो कहाँ से आपके पास से? You got it from the situational suited environment. Sorry, suited environment for a team player, उसके लिए वहां से हम लोग लेके आए, right? So coordination also matters more, interpersonal skills matter more, etc., etc., etc. In case of your expert, the environment is one where the team is headed into uncharted territory, knowledge now generate हो रहा है, innovation हो रहा है, कुछ हो रहा है. In those scenarios, coordination, as much as coordination does definitely matters, but what also matters is subject matter expertise, right? So subject matter expertise, being able to uh, look into the difficult problems and then look into the nuances of a problem, right? As an expert with who have like so an expert who has substantial experience in that domain and has been doing that for a long time, that is more important than having a team player. So now we have defined the key differences between a team player and an expert, right? So up, you note the respective suitable environments. From that, you distill out key differences between the two roles, and then you articulate, and then the final part, you articulate your suitable environments and key differences in parallel while giving your answer. So when you're practicing this, तब आप ये तीनों चीजें करेंगे. Practice करते समय आप तीनों करोगे, but when you're answering the question, then in the actual interview, then it will be simply the third part. The first two should have already happened in your head, you already आपने सोच लिया होना चाहिए, like वो साथ साथ में होगा. So you have to articulate the suitable environments and the key differences parallelly. Okay, so the answer might go something like this. I believe that a team player and an expert, they have their own set of capabilities which might be differentially suited depending on the situation. For example, in case of a situation where you're working in a where the tasks that are required to be completed in order to achieve the objective are quite well documented. There's nothing new there. It's just about coordinating well and being communicating and coordinating well the task and ensuring that they are done and completed on deadlines. In those cases, a team player who has good interpersonal skills. अब देखो मैंने situational suited environment के point से अब मैं key difference वाले point mention कर रहा हूँ. In those cases, a team player who has good coordination, who has good interpersonal skills, who's able to communicate effectively, would be a better choice. However, in scenarios where the team or the organization or the department is moving into uncharted territories, where it's more about going into the depths of a certain subject, in those cases, obviously, would want to have an expert who has had substantial experience. अब देखो मैंने environment का characteristics रखे, उसके बाद से मैंने relate किया the difference, like the characteristics of an expert that will match with that, right? So an expert who has had substantial experience in that domain and who has all the analytical skills which are suited for that, that can help separate those the nuances of the matter of the various matter. Would such an expert would be a better choice, right? So ठीक है. So that's how you would want to go about it. So when you are actually doing it, अगर आप actually कर रहे हैं इंटरव्यू में, तो आपका ये सिर्फ थर्ड वाला पॉइंट आएगा यहाँ पे, और कुछ नहीं आएगा. When you're practicing it, you want to do all three of them. Okay, so I hope that clarifies this. So for now, अभी मैंने आपके फॉर्म में ये तीन ही क्वेश्चन एड्रेस किए हुए हैं. I just put these three questions in your form, and I think I'll also इसको मैं थोड़ा सा differently articulate करूंगा. What we rather want to ask is, who do you believe who do you believe brings more utility to an organization, a leader or a manager? I'll articulate it that way because ये बहुत ही objective हो जा रहा है. So okay, so in the form you'll be addressing these three questions. However, this is not an exhaustive list. देख ऐसे सवाल बहुत सारे अलग अलग तरीके से आ सकते हैं. Just have to be prepared for this category. Okay, by doing this for जहां पे भी आपको कोई भी क्वेश्चन दिख रहे हैं कि जहां पे ये सिनेरियो आ रहा है, you have to choose between two choices, like between two choices. You try to practice this. Okay, so that's about it, guys. For so far as this is concerned, this guidance post is concerned.